Good morning to you. Welcome to this 30th day of August for 2021. I'm Dan Gresham. And yeah, this is the at home update. This is a little bit different than a newscast. I say that every time because I just want to make sure it's clear that I'm not trying to present this as being, in the studio, formal newscast, just casual conversation, which has been going on for, coming up on more than a year and a half from my house to yours. Just glad you're here. Remember, this is a Facebook post like any other. We're also on YouTube, but if you're here on Facebook, you can post at the bottom. Tell us good morning. Tell us where you're watching from. Tell us how you're feeling today. All those things, fair game. I can see them. I can talk back to you. I can answer some of your questions. And of course, I don't know about you this morning, but I'm going into the day with a great deal of mixed emotions. I'm very grateful that I'm waking up this morning and I have power at my home. I'm very grateful that my community, my hometown, was spared by Hurricane Ida. But at the same time, I can't help but feel a great deal of empathy for the people who are waking up this morning, whether it's in Homa or Port Fourchon or St. Charles Parish or in Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge really didn't get it that bad. They really didn't. When you look at the numbers, relative speaking, they fared okay. But when you get, and they're just now waking up this morning, when you get down into, say, Grand Isle, I just wonder what it's going to look like this morning. You never know. You think you do. And this was kind of unusual. Most hurricanes, it seems like over the last 10, 15 years, always seem to arrive in the dark. You ever notice that? This one a little bit different. It was a daytime storm. It started around noon, so you had until 7 o'clock or almost later than that to be able to visually see what was going on. Did you watch, or were you just kind of oblivious? Hey, not us, not my problem, not going to worry about it. Life goes on. I could understand it either way. I really could. Hey, let me ask you for a favor before you go anywhere else. Now that you dropped by, hit us with a thumbs up, a like if you don't mind. Gives us a little presence on Facebook with our algorithms, helps us reach more people, and at the same time, hopefully gives you a chance to see more of what you want to see, local-based product on your Facebook page. All right. Let's see some comments this morning. Who's dropping by as we get the day started here and on what would be your first day of the work week. Jessica, good morning. Buenos dias. Shakara Walker, good morning to you. Kim is up this morning as well, as is Ginger. I see Cassandra Cherry is here this morning also. Joanne Bourdain is here this morning. Hi, Joanne. Also, Renita in Beaumont, Lily Guillory, I should say, in Beaumont. Good morning to you. Carlena's here. Also this morning, Renee. I am without power for the second time this year. Renee, where are you watching from that you're without power? That's what I would be curious to know. Are you here in Southeast Texas? Are you watching from Louisiana? Kim, good morning to you. David Peru, I'm like you. My thoughts are certainly with a lot of folks over in Louisiana, family, friends, strangers even, Peggy Hughes says, good morning from Pensacola. Glad all my Texas friends are okay. We're just having rain and high winds off and on. Miss y'all. Well, we miss you being here, Peggy, but we're glad you're safe. Renita Taylor, yep, I'm with you on that one. Ricky Hendon says hello from New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Ricky, I'm hoping everything is good there for you as well. Norma says, very grateful for everyone affected by the phone. She's thinking of them. She's watching in Kirbyville. Somebody says, talk about free COVID testing in the zip code 77640. Going to be hard for me to talk specifically about that, Jennifer. Let me just, first of all, on the topic, testing has become a lot more difficult over the course of the last several weeks. And that's because A, the demand has gotten higher because of the surge. And B, home testing has gotten a lot tougher because the kits just aren't out there anymore. They used to be readily available. You could go and buy them at the CVS, the Walmart, the Walgreens, but a lot of them are sold out now. So it's a little bit tougher. I would suggest that whatever zip code you're in, if you want to know about free testing, that you call your local health department, whether it's the city health department or the county health department, because they will have the latest info and they will be able to point you to sites that are probably up and running this morning. Hi, Renee. Good morning, Joetta. Angelica and Angelia is up this morning. I should put my glasses on. It's what I should do this morning. Tiffany, good morning to you. Also, Wanda is up this morning, watching up in Buna. Also, Linda, good morning. Ricky Hendon says, good to hear. Just like to be able to watch local stuff from my hometown. Well, I'm glad you get to watch it as well. And also, Kimberly is watching from Point Bear, Louisiana. Well, Kimberly, I hope that you get your power back. Everybody is back up to speed quickly. I'll be honest with you. My experience tells me that when Entergy says we have 1 million customers out, and then they also say, we're dealing with some infrastructure issues, you're not likely to get power back today. I'm just saying, I wouldn't expect to have it back today. It's going to take a while. I also would not be surprised if they ask people not to come back real quickly to a lot of these different areas, neighborhoods, towns, villages, cities, whatever, counties, or parishes in Louisiana, because they want to assess damage before they get it's a whole lot easier to do that when you don't have people driving the streets. You know what I mean? It gives people a chance in public utilities to get out, find out how many poles are down, how many trees, what's the real issue. I couldn't help yesterday, and I'm sure a lot of you are the same. 16 years ago, we watched all this happen with Katrina, and then a month later, we were dealing with it ourselves with Rita. And Rita, to me, of all the storms that I've been through, and that's 40 years worth of storms being here, I've never evacuated for a storm over 40 years. I've always worked and tried to be here. I don't remember any storm that impacted me more than Rita, because the fact that it was a windstorm, families were all gone, people evacuated, couldn't get back in, food supplies were scarce, gasoline was scarce. It was just a tough time following Rita. Extremely hot. Do you remember that? It was broiling hot afterwards, and having to deal with all of that. So that was in my mind yesterday when I'm watching this wind event take place in Louisiana. And for a lot of folks in Louisiana, it's not going to be rain. It's not going to be flooding. It's going to be, storm surge for some, and it's going to be the wind for others. And the wind could be, again, when you have those high power lines down and you can't get anything going for weeks, when they have to rebuild the power grid for the state of Louisiana. And again, 1 million people without this morning, the entire city of New Orleans. Let me also I'm going to take you to just a couple of screens here, but let me also just real quickly, in watching yesterday, one of the things that I'm reminded of very quickly is, if you want information about something that is happening somewhere, to me, your best bet is going to be the local stations, just like here. You've seen this when you evacuate and you go someplace else, and suddenly you don't have your local broadcast. Now you're having to depend on a Tyler station to report about what's happening in Beaumont. The coverage is never the same. So my suggestion is go to KFDM.com. We're following all of these different, we have stations, our own stations that are co-owned, same company, that are located in New Orleans, well, not in New Orleans, but in Biloxi, also in Pensacola. But they have sent people into New Orleans that are reporting live. You can go and watch their newscast. You can see there's a live update, and you're going to see video you probably haven't seen. Here's a good example. Have you seen all this video? Probably not. But this is from our local affiliates who are there. That's in Lafourche. You can see the kind of flooding that they had there. You can also see some of the situations in New Orleans, in the French Quarter, which was pretty much deserted. But my point being, if you want to see what's happening on local news, as you know, because you're watching this, is your best source. And nowadays on the internet, almost every station broadcasts live. I watched all three New Orleans stations yesterday live. I watched our stations live. You can do the same thing. Or, as I'm suggesting today, if you want to see some of this video that you probably haven't, and as now sun is up and they start to assess things, you want to see how bad is the situation, rely on local stations, rely on local information. Because when and again, nothing against the efforts being done by some of the national outlets. It's just there's no way that you can cover the story the same way that local stations do, because they have boots on the ground, they have people out there, they just have more resources. You might say, oh well, the Weather Channel or CNN. No, I'm telling you, A, they don't know the area like the people who live there know the area, and B, they still probably don't have the kind of resources. A guy who lives there can pick up the phone and call the emergency management director in any county or any parish and find out what's going on. It's a little bit more difficult. And I would also suggest, I would hope that, on a local level, that it's not about drama, it's about accuracy, it's about serving the public trust. And to that end, hopefully you're not going to see people who are sensationalizing a story by standing in the middle of a wind tunnel between two buildings and telling you, oh, it's so bad, and things, and other people are walking around behind them. That I just hope that I never see that again. But I can understand why people would see that and think, how can I have faith in these people, or how can I depend on these people? I hope you don't ever see it on any local channel. I hope you don't, people don't go to that extent to try to make it dynamic or dramatic. That in fact, we're smart and safe and we cover it in the best way possible. Not always going to be the case, but you would hope that would be the case. All right. So that's point A. Point B, there are a lot of people in Southeast Texas, and you may not realize it, that are here because they had no other place to go to. So they loaded up and they left New Orleans, or they left Baton Rouge, or they left Houma, or they left, and the list can go on. And they went west, and they creeped along west. At times, people were driving 9 miles an hour on I-10 going west. 9 miles an hour. There were reports. We had people over the weekend who told us it took them 27 hours. 27 hours to get from New Orleans to Beaumont. Wow. You hope that wasn't the case for a lot, but obviously standstill traffic coming out of New Orleans trying to get into Texas. You ever think maybe there's a better way, that maybe there must be a better way for evacuations to operate? I mean, we can go back to Rita, we can go back to Ike, you can go back to those, hours that many of you spent stuck in your car, probably going north on 69 or 96, and remember how frustrating it was. I'm not sure what it would be, because our human nature is not to leave unless we absolutely have to, right? So we wait until the last minute, many of us, and then we wind up getting stuck in traffic. I'm not sure if you even left early. The capacity of our roads to handle that much traffic coming out of any major urban area quickly is overwhelmed. All right, so be mindful of that. Be mindful of the fact that there are people here that might be strangers, might could use your help. And of course, it will begin almost immediately, where people will say, let's gather up some food and go to, somewhere, somebody we know. They helped us, let's help them. Good idea. But maybe you want to wait till they're all clear. Maybe you want to check with locals, make sure that you can get in there before you pack everything up in a trailer and you hit I-10 and you start trying to get back. Because a lot of these people too that were piled up going west are now going to want to go east and get back home as quickly as possible and secure their property. So let's give them the opportunity to do that. Just seems like that would be a courtesy to them. A couple of other things I was going to show you. I don't know if you've seen this. This is kind of impressive. This is the radar image time lapse of Ida as it made landfall. Actually, it picks it up as it comes off of Cuba, and it runs over the course of, I think, almost 3 days, 2 days anyway. And there you can see it coming ashore, Grand Isle. slows down just a little bit there as it makes landfall and then kind of comes back. Now, if you're wondering about where it's headed, here's the latest storm path. It is still a tropical storm, by the way, 45-mile-an-hour winds. They are still getting some pretty good rains. I was watching our station in Pensacola, which is located over here, and then also Mobile, and they were still getting pretty good rain event going on. They were still getting lashed there. And they were talking about some of their roads being closed because of the amount of rain and precipitation they have received. And of course, for us, minimal effects. We're going to feel a little bit of wind coming off the backside there from the north, but that's going to be gone pretty quick too. And Chad says it will turn it back around out of the west, and then we'll start getting the moisture coming in off the Gulf out of the south. Okay, and I'm not going to keep you all morning. I think we probably caught up with most things that we really needed to touch on. But the other thing that comes to mind is I also remember, and I'm sure many of you do too, as you were watching Katrina all those years ago, 16 years ago. And that's pretty, I don't know the word I'm looking for. I was going to say, is it coincidental, ironic that this hurricane makes landfall to the date of Katrina 16 years later, to the day? And of course, I don't want to think back too hard, because if you remember, it was less than a month later? Yeah, that we were dealing with Rita. So let's hope history doesn't repeat itself in many ways. All right, let's catch up with a couple other comments this morning. Chason, good morning to you. James is watching in Lumberton. Glenda says, I saw that this morning. What else do we have going on? That pretty much takes care of it there as well, I think, this morning. Ricky says, I worked for the fire department during Rita. It was definitely a lasting memory. Yeah, I think it's one that stuck with a lot of us for a long time. Brand A says, good morning. Any word on coverage in Mississippi? Yeah, if you want to update power coverage, if you're looking for that, you can go to the Entergy website, and they have a power map. It's completely red in Louisiana. But if you're talking about rain coverage, just go to our website, kfdm.com. I'll do that. I'll show you that one more time, and you can go and check out this story, which is local affiliates reporting on what's going on there. There it is right there. So there it is. And this is, there it is. Hurricane Ida lashes Louisiana. And they'll be updating this throughout the day, so you can get fresh coverage at kfdm.com. But you can also go to WEAR, which is ABC3 in Pensacola. And then you can also go to WPMI, which is Mobile, Biloxi. And they will also have local coverage in that area. All right, that does it for us today. I want to thank you for taking a couple of minutes, grab a cup of coffee with me this morning. Again, if you don't mind, hit us with a like. It would be greatly appreciated. And then the reminder, we've got a lot coming up for you. We'll be updating the situation throughout the day at noon. You can catch up with the latest headlines, also check in on the forecast with Chad. Then, of course, always on Facebook, KFDM News. Also, at home, Dan's at home on KFDM's or the Facebook page, my Facebook page, Twitter, YouTube, you name it. It's all out there. You can get the latest on social media. Go out and make it a terrific day. Appreciate what you have. Enjoy the perspective. And we will come back at you tomorrow morning, bright and early at KFDM with the morning show. Again, have a terrific day.